is What If Deku was Doctor Strange Part 2! And this is a what if I was working on Part 2. I was working on after I posted What If Deku was Todoroki the movie. Now, if you haven't seen that, go and watch that after you watch this video. Let's get into it. Enough talking, I'm just going to dive right into it for real this time. So last time I left off near Deku being attacked or trying to stop some sort of shadow demon from attacking some sort of child, aka a child that has some very, very powerful magic potential. As Deku would have used this time to try to figure out what the demon was doing and how the demon was even functioning without a master, as it had sentience, as he would have been going more and more into, pretty much trying to figure out what's going on. But he would have gotten ready to go to UA the next day, the second day of UA, as he would have gone there, and basically he would have just, relaxed in the class. As the class would have been interrupted by All Might. All Might telling everybody pretty much about their hero costumes and just doing, combat training to meet them all outside and to get ready. Or not all inside, meet them out near the training ground and get ready. And everybody with their hero costumes on, and Deku would just, he would basically make the iconic Doctor Strange whipping type hand motion and flick it over his head, kind of like a bippity boppity boo hand motion, and it would just a bright light. He would be engulfed with his Sorcerer Supreme suit. So for the fighting, I am going to be using a lot of GFs to basically demonstrate the visual fighting. So let's dive right into the video. Now, basically what would happen is, what they would be doing, they would get ready and they would be teamed up the same. Deku being teamed up with Ochaku, and let's just say things would have changed differently. Before the test would have, pretty much, continued, as Zao would be called from the front office to be told that they had a transfer student come today. As it would have been a transfer student, basically because in this canon, Mineta, for some reason, some legal issues, I guess, Peeping Tom, he was expelled from UA. So, pretty much, another student was put into a transfer student thing to UA, as her scores would have been enough to surpass Mineta and get into Class 1A easily, but she signed up for a different school. But the different school, because of legal laws, basically Mineta signed up for that school, and somehow they got switched. So Mineta went to another school, and pretty much this transfer student came to the class. As a transfer student would have watched everybody fight, as I want to talk about her later, but let's get into the fight. We're getting to the, matches. As what would happen is during this time, as Deku would have got ready for the fight, as they would have gotten into hair costumes, getting ready, and Deku getting started. As Deku would have started to pretty much do the match, as Ochaku would be told the plan. As the plan would have been, Ochaku would follow him as they go up the stairs to try to ambush Bakugo, as Deku would gotten ready. As Bakugo pretty much wanted to assert dominance and wanted to beat up Deku to make him know his place, as Bakugo is still thinking or still having that motivation that he is going to become the #1 hero. So he wants to take down Deku, and he does know Deku's incredibly powerful because he showed off his magic abilities doing the pretty much quirk assessments yesterday. So he just wanted to overpower Deku and make him know his place. As Deku would be told Chaku that she was gonna go the other way to try to find the bomb where Ida is and take him down, or keep him busy as you take down Bakugo and meet me back up the stairs to take him down. As Deku would have sprinted off and they would have been split up, as Deku would have shortly found Bakugo. As Deku and Bakugo would have glared at each other, and Deku getting ready into a fighting stance, as he would have done, his magic shield, so would have started to cast, like in this picture, with pretty much his hands being covered in bright orange, yellowish magic light. As Bakugo would have gotten into a fighting style or fighting stance with explosions popping in his hands, as they would have bolted towards each other. Bakugo doing the first, bolt or first run, as Bakugo would have thrown the first explosion and the first punch, as Deku would have blocked it with a shield. as Deku would start to dodge it left and right, kind of like doing backflips and stuff like that, as his cape would have detached from him. If you weren't here for part 1, his cape, he did find the cape because the whole entire, Sanctum Sanctorum, he was able to bond with the cape or become friends with the cape, as the cape would have flew around and pretty much engulfed Bakugo, as Bakugo would have tried to get the cape off of him, blowing the cape up, and the cape kneeling, pretty much backing off, but also smacking Bakugo upside the face, leaving a nasty type cut or carpet burn on Bakugo's face, as Bakugo would have gotten angry and threw a huge explosion towards the cape, pushing it through a wall, as Deku would have looked towards pretty much Bakugo, as Deku would have made a shield blasting or blocking the blast or explosions Bakugo was throwing at him, as Deku started to dodge more and more attacks, eventually him throwing a solid punch towards Bakugo's face. As Bakugo would have been pushed back, Deku running towards Bakugo and punched him straight into the nose, pretty much knocking him out, or almost knocking him out, as Bakugo would have fell down to the ground, throwing another huge explosion, pushing Deku through the ceiling, making him fall down to the ground on the next floor, as Bakugo would have blown himself up or propulsion himself forward up into the air to get on the other level, looking over Deku's lying body. As Deku would have gotten up, him summoning his cape back on his back, as he would have flown away or levitated away about 6 feet, as he would have started to have a hand-to-hand fight with Bakugo, as they would have started to fight hand-to-hand. As Deku would have summoned a type of, pretty much, I don't remember what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's the Dr.strange extremist sticks he used when he was fighting against I can't remember, Mondo, I don't remember, the main villain or lackey for Doctor Strange, the first movie, as pretty much Deku would have started to try to overpower Bakugo by using a bunch of magic skills, like summoning magic parts of beast, like tentacles, or pretty much using his outside surroundings to pretty much enchant the concrete around them that was broken into little tiny golems that would have started to overpower Bakugo, as they would have started to drag Bakugo down and pretty much throw him around like ragdolls, kind of like Ant-Man did with a couple of people, or if you've seen The Boys episode 1, kind of like how the Termite did with Frenchie. Now basically what happened is, doing this, Deku would have dodged more and more attacks, as he would have started to block more and more explosions with more shields, as he would eventually grow tired of this fight, as he wanted to end it, as he would have used or summoned pretty much magic type knives or blades, as he would have cut or pretty much stabbed Bakugo's leg, as Bakugo would have fell down to the ground, as Deku would have kicked Bakugo through the hole that they came up the ceiling with, basically him falling down to the ground and being knocked out. As Deku would have jumped down, him about to walk off, but Bakugo would have gotten up, saying he really thought you could knock me out that quickly, as Deku would have been confused, but also kind of, impressed, as Bakugo would have pulled the trigger on both of his gauntlets, putting them together using a super precise blast of both of the gauntlets combined towards Deku, as Deku would have used all of his shield magic, or 50% of it, to block that whole attack, as the shield magic would have been slightly damaged, but Deku would have just reinforced it and would have pushed it, or pretty much made a force field or a magic dome around Bakugo, taking some oxygen away from him, eventually having him pass out, the Bakugo getting more oxygen back after the dome was taken off after he passes out, as Deku would have bolted up the stairs, as he would eventually come across the bomb room, where Ida would have been running around away from Ochaku with the bomb in his hands, as Deku would threw a huge wave of magic towards Ida's feet, pushing Ida off his balance and making him fall down to the ground, as Deku would have made a force field around the bomb, stopping him from falling, as he would have also made a force field around Ida's head, knocking him out. As Ida would have been out for the count, Deku grabbing the bomb and finishing it all out, Ochaku de-levitating herself, falling down to the ground, and basically the class would have been super surprised at how Deku was using his powers, was energy, or quote-unquote energy manipulation, very, very creatively, as most of them would be confused about the whole, magic tentacle or magic, pretty much monster magic he was using earlier. But they did try to fix that the other magic skills he was using, like the force field type swords and shields, were kind of like in relation. But what happened is, doing that, after that, they would be classed the MVP, since their fight would have ended in about 15 minutes, as the fight for pretty much Bakugo, the fight he had with Bakugo basically was about 10 minutes. So he basically finished off Ida in about 5 minutes. So what happened after this, Deku would have made himself pretty much known, and he would have ran out the room, or ran out the building, as pretty much the rest of the class would have, try to crown Deku. And after that, all the members or everybody would be told to go back home after everybody else's match was done. As pretty much the next day, Deku walks into class 1A and sits down, and he hears basically, Azawa introduced a new transfer student that day, or the transfer student from yesterday, but introduces them because she showed up to school like half in the day, so they couldn't be introduced to her. And she would be, Enchantress. Enchantress. Now, this universe's Enchantress would be about, this universe's Enchantress would be about 16, by the same age as Deku, and she would have been 16 in terms of, let's just say, in terms of Asgardian years, she would be 16, but in human years, she would be like 100 something. I don't know. She would be from Asgard in this canon. Asgard, Underworld, stuff like that. Other Marvel type universes would still exist in this world, kind of like the Underworld or Mephisto's plane of existence, something like that. So basically, as Enchantress would be introduced to the class, and she would have sat down, sensing great magic power in the room, as she would have looked towards Deku, being interested and actually kind of thinking he's kind of cute, as she would have just looked away before he can notice her. Now, basically, as Deku would have also thought that she was kind of cute, but would have just brushed it off. As after that, we would get hit with the end of this part. Now, this part was kind of short, like actually really short, because only 12 minutes. But I just wanted to cover this real quick, and it will be a lot of visual, pretty much animation, I guess. Like I'll hit a lot of GFs, so it'll be more visual. But hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and also go in the comments, guys. What should be the main, pretty much problem with part 3? Because in part 3, I am gonna make at least like a 10-minute narration of a little bit of a vigilante thing or magic problem Deku's gonna have to face. Basically, in part 3, Deku's gonna go up against a lot of magic beings or a lot of magic type creatures, like maybe even go up against Mephisto in part 5 or 4. Now, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe, and have a blessed day.